Hey guys, welcome back to Bumpin' the Mic, and I am super excited today to tell you guys that we are doing an episode with our first ever viewer submitted story.
That's right. We have with us Hank from Colorado. Hank, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm not doing too bad. How are you?
Good, man. Well, thanks for joining us here. So you got in touch with us after we aired our Cryptid Countdown Wendigo episode, saying you had a story of your own out of Fort Carson. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right.
Well, what was going on in Fort Carson, Colorado, and when was it going on?
So this would probably be, can't remember the exact year. I think it was about 2021 or 2020. I was stationed at Fort Carson. It's in the Colorado Springs area. And we were pretty much going through the winter. We were doing what's known as EIB, which is Expert Infantry Badge. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, it is basically a bunch of soldiers get together and you have to complete a lot of tasks to prove you're an expert in your job. One of those tasks is land navigation, and Fort Carson's got a few land navigation sites, but particularly what happened was in the south area of the land navigation site. So we went out there, and it was going to be a whole day thing from sun up to sundown, pretty much, and we'd be doing a lot of nighttime land nav. From there, most of the day, pretty normal. It was super snowy, being Colorado, and we were out there, just typical training. And from there, then we go into our night iterations, and kind of the rules about land nav night iterations are you don't go, you don't talk to other people, you don't try to like give away your spots because they have people out grading and everything. During that, I definitely found people. I definitely talked to them, just kind of giving each other hints of where each other's points might be, and that was that. But there was a section of the land navigation area I hadn't been to pretty much through most of the day, and that section was kind of even in the more southern area of this land nav site, and in that area, it's super. There's a lot of trees. Honestly, not a lot of people. Super easy to miss your spot too if you are trying to find your point on land nav. Well, I headed into that area looking for, I think it was like my third and fourth point. And when I was down there, I didn't think much of it. I mean, I hadn't seen anybody for about an hour or anything, and I found my third spot. And while I was there, I kind of just hung out, waited to see if anyone else rolled up. Nobody ever really did. And I kind of made the decision, okay, cool, I'll head to my fourth and final point, because that way I'm getting 4 for 4, doing the best on training. And kind of got my direction I needed to head and started walking that way. Now that's where it kind of gets into the weird part. But myself, as I was heading that way, I started hearing some footsteps behind me. I was like, it's a little odd, especially being out in the middle of nowhere, pitch black, hearing footsteps behind you. I mean, for the most part, I think I put it out of my mind a little bit because there's a lot of other people training out there. But then I just kept going, and then I heard some more footsteps, and it sounded like they were almost trying to mimic my footsteps, but they were just about a second too late, almost. I don't know if you have all have ever had that like weird feeling walking around in the mountains before.
Yeah, just kind of a gut instinct type of thing that something ain't right.
Yeah, and I mean it was odd. I mean, but then again, you're still just kind of putting it out of your mind, like, I think it's just maybe a coincidence or something like that.
Start trying to convince yourself that like this isn't everything's all right. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I kept on going, but then I heard some other noises, kind of like things getting shuffled behind me, something like that. And at this point, I mean, I'm still thinking, okay, maybe somebody's in the area, still just hoping there's a reasonable explanation, because I feel like a lot of us would probably try to downplay it or something like that.
Mhm.
And I kept just walking, and then I started paying a little more attention, because I kind of heard some more rustling, maybe the footsteps picking up pace a little bit, and I would turn around trying to find it. And I kept turning around, not seeing anything. Turning around, not seeing anything. And then I turned around one time, and I saw something dart behind a tree. Looked like potentially a person. So I run over there trying to just see if it's one of my buddies messing with me or
Right.
whatnot.
That'd be my first guess.
Yeah,
Right.
I would be hoping at that point it was somebody messing with me, because I'd be like, why else would you be like sneaking up behind me and not making yourself
Yeah.
known?
Or one
Like,
of the
Right.
instructors or something, right? Just trying to stop being bored.
Yeah, I mean, I've been an instructor a time or two. I know how that game works. Is like, hey, just mess with the guys out training or something like that. But I get over there and nobody's there, and there's like not any real sign there was a person there or anything. And then I keep going in this point, and from there is like I just keep turning around, and I'd see something dart off, and like he was getting closer to me, and then I just heard like a voice off in the distance, and so I start shouting. No response.
hmm.
At this point, it's happened enough. Like I was about halfway to that point. I was creeped out thoroughly. So I mean, with myself, I watch a lot of horror movies and stuff. I know the rules. If you feel like you're in a bad spot, just get out of there. So I started running back to the start. I didn't go to that fourth point or anything. Never found it. I just ran back to the start point where people were. But that's not where the story ended. What got real weird was I I kind of got back earlier than most, so I kind of just hung out waiting for the other guys to get back, and then some of my dudes start rolling back in, and they're like, "Hey, did you did you happen to have anything following you out there?" And now I'm like, "Oh, you're the ones messing with me or something, right?"
Right.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, haha, funny on you guys." And they're like, "No, like." Because we all kind of been talking on our way back, and we all kind of had some weird experiences. Now I'm curious. So I'm like, hey, what do you guys mean? And they're like, well, you know, John over here, he was over in like the north area, and he was walking up basically like this hillside that's all shale. And I know the area he's talking about. There's like this weird little shale hut that someone built up there. And he's basically walking up the side of a mountain. And he said he saw some people, or saw somebody's like head, super pale looking, peering over the side of the cliff. And so he's like, hey, who's messing with me? Like shouting up at him, kind of like I was before. And he said he saw the head dip back really quick. So he ran up the side of the hill. Nobody was there. And then on top of that, this other buddy, Tyler, he was kind of out, kind of in the area between the two of us, where like John was. He was kind of in that north area. I was more in the south area, and then Tyler's kind of in the middle spot. He kind of had the same experience as me. Like he heard somebody walking behind him. He heard a couple more voices than I did, and I mean, he didn't have the same idea of just taking off. He just found a second person, and they kind of hung out together. But I mean, he felt people were following him left and right, and that he could hear voices, and he called out to him a couple times with no response. But we all kind of had about the same thought of it. It looked like a person, but every response of it was not a person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and It's actually funny. I've mentioned it in an episode before where I was like, I try to rationalize stuff in my mind with experiences I've had, and then I'll have other people be like, "Did you see something in there? Did you feel something?" And then I'm kind of like, "Oh gosh, okay, it wasn't in my head." Like if we're all experiencing it, you brought it up, like, and then
Mm-hmm.
I already had the experience, so I'm like, okay, if he's seeing something, feeling something, if I'm feeling something, seeing something, it's something that's actually there. So it
Yeah.
really confirms it for you.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I've had a weird experience like that, I've rationalized it, but then, looking into it more and more, it gets a little weirder.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this stuff, like people experience a lot of this like weird, like haunty, like cryptid stuff, and a lot of it probably gets chalked up to them just feeling crazy that day, and they don't even mention it for fear of people thinking that they're gonna be crazy. But there's probably a lot of those. And they just never talk about it for fear of seeming crazy to whoever they're telling it to, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think so. And I think that's what's so cool when you actually have an experience here where you had other people out there with you that got to experience the same thing. Because then it kind of lets you know, hey, that wasn't just in my head. We're not all imagining the same thing. So then you get to actually say, you know what? This is actually something that happened. Like, it's
Absolutely.
Percent. Now you said that you had been followed for a while. You had heard these footsteps, and you had chalked it up to maybe somebody messing with you, or you were just tired and you were messing with yourself in your own head. But then you saw that
Mm-hmm.
shadow figure go behind a tree. Like, how far was that tree from where you were standing when you saw it?
It was about, I'd say rough estimate of like 25 to 50 meters out, just a little further than like right on me, but it was enough that you can, in the nighttime, if the moon's full and everything, you can see
Sure.
something out there.
I actually
That
had
it,
a question about that as well, and so that's not too far of a distance. I know you said it was maybe at night. You said another person said that they saw a white head looking over the cliff face. Were you able to make out any features like skin tone, or was it more you could just see the figure moving?
I could see the figure moving. I wasn't nearly as close, and also, I mean, part of the training is light discipline. That was about the point I learned that this dude was kind of using a white light to get up that hill. Granted, don't blame him at all. That was a steep hill. I knew
yeah,
exactly where he was talking about, but
Mhm.
I mean, that's how he was able to catch some glimpse at it. Is he was using a light to get up that hill so he wouldn't fall, kind of for
gotcha.
safety purposes, and he ended up observing that.
But certainly when you saw this thing like dart behind the tree, it was close enough that when you went to investigate, like likely you would have noticed if whatever it was like moved off, right?
Right.
Yeah, and for it just not to exist and be there, like, yeah, I'd be freaking out too, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you mentioned hearing like a voice in the distance. Was that a voice that you recognized or were later able to attribute to somebody, or do you think it was like whatever this being was like making some sort of noise?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. It could have been an absolute like kind of happenstance. I could hear somebody in the distance. I don't know for sure if I can attribute it to it. But it was just super odd. It was all kind of going on at the exact same time,
Yeah,
and kind of with everything. I mean, I was thoroughly freaked out at the time. So I never attributed it to anybody I knew personally, at least. It kind of just sounded like a voice I'd never heard before. But I can't, of course, I didn't find it, so I can't for sure say that was part of it, but it could
sure.
have potentially been.
It was just
Now, was it
coincidental enough to be creepy.
Yes.
was the voice discernible at all, or was it just like you could hear muffled talking? What did it sound like?
It sounded like a muffled, it was a deeper voice, kind of like a male's voice. But yeah, I couldn't really discern exactly what was being said. It was just kind of voices or a voice talking back, but I didn't hear anybody they would have been talking to is the problem.
Yeah, if it's
Right.
it sounds like in conjunction with everything else, it's definitely right up there. You have the voices, you have the footsteps, and footsteps are, I mean, you got to be pretty close to hear those. So you know
Mm-hmm.
that's not something you're hearing from far off in the woods.
Yeah, and I mean part of it was helpful as there was snow out, so like that crunch of the snow, like that's really what started setting me off and getting me on edge about hearing those footsteps.
Did you ever see any footprints in the snow?
I'll be honest with you, I never even tried to look. I was kind of just freaked out by it or
Yeah,
trying to put it away.
I get that 100%. I
Yeah, if
wouldn't have
it
gone
makes
behind that
you
tree.
Yeah.
Now, were you just at Fort Carson for like a training evolution, or were you stationed there for some time?
So I was actually stationed there for a good couple of years, about 4 or so. I mean, I kind of got to learn some stories of the area, and I know one of the most common stories are people that go disappearing off of the Pikes Peak hiking trail in the
Right.
area.
Yeah, and a lot of those, because like a lot of the supernatural activity in that area kind of happens at the Four Corners, area where the 4 states meet right there in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And the Springs is just north of that, right? So you might get some of that bleed over. But I
Yeah.
know, like in preparation for this episode and stuff, I was digging into Fort Carson a little bit, and I found some stories about like the old hospital there. Do you know anything about any of that?
The old er, was the old one the Evans Army Hospital that they
Y-
have?
Yeah, yeah, it was like a mental clinic built around the World War II era.
Okay, no, I didn't know any of the stories there. I kind of went there very few times, honestly.
Yeah, I've heard like some stories about like MPs and stuff like rolling up and finding like children's toys, like moving around in the yard and like tables getting overturned and like finding some
Oh wow.
tunnels behind these old hospital buildings that had like evidence of like children playing in there recently, but there were no children around. So that's like some of the lore that surrounds Fort Carson itself.
Yeah, I mean, I can say another like good instance is the barracks that we were put up in, which was happened to be the first brigade of Fourth Infantry Division there. Their kind of area, the I might be incorrect, but the barracks there are either attributed to the World War II or Vietnam era, and so they're older for sure. And I wouldn't say personally my room was haunted by any means, but there were definitely people I knew that's rooms you could tie back to certain events that caused possible spirits to be living in them. I mean, they're they had they had like definitive proof. They locked their rooms up, closed everything up, and we'd go up after like a PT or after the day, and all their doors are flown open. The cabinets in their living quarters would be open, like, and I mean there were reasons soldiers unfortunately like did die in those rooms, and they you could attribute it to that potentially.
Yeah, apparently Fort Carson is haunted enough that there's actually like a community called like Fort Carson Ghost Stories out there, like on Facebook. Um, so other people are having similar experiences, whether it's spirits or whatever the hell you guys experienced out there in the woods, right? Because who knows if that's like it could be a mimic, could be a skinwalker, could be a wendigo, could be any number of different spirits that took some sort of like bodily form. Um,
Right.
but it's creepy. And like you said, Pikes Peak is another place that's rife for, in particular, like Wendigo skinwalkerish stories. So it wouldn't
Yeah.
be, a far cry to say that one of those migrated down to Fort Carson and back or spent some time there.
I
Yeah,
mean
I mean,
it
it, you
helps
know,
because
that's,
I mean we could see it.
Mhm.
We could see Pikes Peak from that area we were at. So I mean it was always potential for us.
Yeah, because there's Wendigos like Clyde talked about in our Wendigo episode that are like reported down in like Arizona and stuff, right? So they move around
Mm-hmm.
they're
and
actually all
nobody
over.
knows what they look like. Yeah.
Yeah, there's whether it's different cultural ways that they identify them, either skinwalker, wendigo, stuff like that. They've had reports from the deserts of Arizona up into up into that Colorado area, and then especially really heavy up in the Appalachians. So I mean, there's different reports all over from these really old areas, these old deserts, these old mountains, these old forests, and to lock them into one certain area would be kind of funny, because maybe you should go tell them, like, you have to stick to that one area in Colorado. You can't make your way up to Colorado Springs, or you
Yeah,
can't.
right.
Right.
Like
No,
if
somebody
they're
should
if
get
they're
game
in
and
the
fish
area,
on
they're
that.
in the area.
Put some Wendigo crossing signs on the highway.
Right.
But like you said, Clyde, you just said the word old like 5 times, and that kind of goes back into like the history. Like a lot of these old places, like because they're old, there's a lot of history to them, and with history comes tragedy, and with tragedy comes fucking hauntings, So
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
there's actually one thing I've always really loved, where they said, I forget what the name of it is now. You'll probably be able to tell me, but there's an actual effect on like the human brain where we're afraid of things that look human but aren't. And they said that that has to come from somewhere, like way back in the history of humanity. At some point in time, we got it put into our brains that we had to be afraid of something that looked human that wasn't. So you get these old areas, you start to think maybe whatever caused that to be ingrained in our, like, in our brains, to be passed down from one generation to the next, maybe there's still something lurking out there.
yeah, absolutely. Like all of it's insane, right?
Mhm.
Like who knows? Like I'd like to talk to your buddy and like get a sketch artist and like draw this face that he saw on this shale
Yeah.
mountain.
Right.
But I guess that's part of the mystery, right? Is no one really knows. Like, was it a spirit? Was it a Wendigo,
Hmm.
a skinwalker? Are skinwalkers Wendigos? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But
Right. And I mean, one of the parts that I touched on just really quick, because I mean we couldn't attribute it to anything, was like it was a shale kind of cliffside, and there was just a bunch of shale stacked up with even having like a little door, so I called it like the shale hut. But I mean, nobody's out there for that much amount of time to be able to be building stuff like that. So I always question, like, why was that there? Who made that even? Like, it just didn't make sense. It was out there. I bet it's still just kind of standing out there, unless, I don't know, you put some unhinged soldiers near it, because usually that stuff's just gonna get torn down. Then
yeah, right.
someone will throw a rock at it and break it.
Now, did it
Absolutely.
look like old, or like what is it, like old? Did it look like maybe military built it back in the day, or did it just look like somebody threw it up there?
I mean, when I say it was a shale hut, I mean like the walls were built out of shale pieces,
Oh,
and they
wow.
were just stacked in such a way that like it made a little hut and everything, and then they had like a little big rock on the top for a roof kind of deal. Like, I mean, somebody was some kind of engineering potentially, or I don't know, but it was built up, and it was super creepy that it just happened to be right in that exact area.
Almost like a fort that you built like as a kid in the woods type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, somebody or
That's
something
insane.
built it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then for whatever that thing is to like literally show its face to your buddy, like
Right.
over the outcropping, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there should be a safety brief on that particular hut for future
Yeah.
soldiers to just stay
I don't-
away.
I
As
don't know
long
if
as you just don't mess with the wildlife.
That's right. Now, I guess the real question is, were you wearing your PT belt?
I was not, in fact, so
See,
that's what really
if you'd
scared
been
me
wearing
the
the
most.
PT belt,
It's lucky
none
you
of this
made it
would
out
have
alive.
happened. I know. Incredible. Well, thanks, Hank. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. It really means a lot. And it's a cool experience to have. We want to encourage all of any viewers, right, to come on and share your stories. Hit us up in the comments, hit us up in the email in the description below, and be like Hank. Come on and talk to us. Tell us your stories. But thanks again, Hank.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate you.
No, thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Hank.
Cool. And we'll see you all next time here on Bumping the Mic.
See you guys.